What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a review for the 20th anniversary of What's the Story Morning Glory by rock band Oasis from the UK. It's always a little nerve-wracking tackling such a heralded and praised album that at the time maybe wasn't met with quite the reception that it is now, but still it ended up on a lot of year-end lists in '95 and has ended up in a lot of decade-end and greatest of all time lists. As a result, it's just kind of steamrolled. Liam and Noel Gallagher are probably the brothers' names that you recognize from Oasis, Oasis no longer being a thing as of 2009, and them pretty much putting nails in the coffin saying, reunion, just not going to happen. People do this whenever they want money, and I am not interested because they have had huge offers to play gigs like festivals and charity concerts and that sort of thing, and they'll play them separately from what I understand, but they just do not want to reform Oasis. The art and the effort that they've made over the years definitely continues to live on, and What's the Story Morning Glory remains one of their best albums. Now, they kind of fell off over the years, making albums in the 2000s that I just do not care that much for, although I will say that Lila and Champagne Supernova were my first two Oasis songs. A very weird balance there, but it's something that I thought was kind of cool just because of the facts that I found out later on. Now, Lila was a track that actually throws back to something found on this album right here. Don't Look Back in Anger is the name of the track, and he references this character named Sally, and Lila is supposedly her sister. Now, Lila came out in 2005, and I saw the connection there once it was made, but it's not something that I would have made myself. Whenever they were talking about the song Don't Look Back in Anger, though, one of my favorite songs, of course, it's a timeless staple for Oasis. It's one of those songs that Liam actually helped compose, and if you know anything about Oasis, Noel Gallagher was actually the main lyricist, even though he didn't sing on the majority of these tracks. Now, with Don't Look Back in Anger, I thought it was a really interesting tune. Not only is it a great song, it's well composed, it's got a great and memorable chorus that definitely is easy to sing along to, especially at concerts back in the day for Oasis fans, but what I think is the most interesting thing about it is that actually Noel used this as a leverage against Liam. Now, Liam obviously sings on the huge smash hit Wonderwall that everybody knows. Everybody's covered the tune, everybody's heard it at least a time or two in their lifetime. I don't care how young you are, you've heard it somewhere, used in some sort of media. But of course, Liam wanted to sing on that track whenever Noel wrote it, but of course Noel didn't exactly have that one in mind. He said that he wanted to sing on Wonderwall, when in fact, it was actually Don't Look Back in Anger that he really wanted, and he let Liam have Wonderwall, and of course took Don't Look Back for himself. Now, Wonderwall is a great tune, but am I a bit sick of it? Yeah, at this point, honestly, I am. I even skipped over it a few times whenever I was preparing for this review. I think the biggest thing that I noticed with What's the Story Morning Glory is that it's much more produced. There's a lot of extra instrumentation, there's pianos, there's strings, there's a lot of different arrangements on this album compared to the more raw sound of 1994's Definitely Maybe. They followed it up pretty quick, but it definitely doesn't feel rushed. This is an amazing album that I think everybody should definitely check out because it's a classic. There's a plethora of different genres and styles that are used here, but it all still feels very cohesive, but I feel like there's something for everyone to dig into. For fans of pop, you've got Roll With It. You've just got that sing-along chorus. You gotta roll with it. It's one of the poppiest things that I think that they've ever done without going full-on top 40 or anything like that, of course. Roll With It definitely has those tendencies. Then you've got Beatles influences on some of the tracks because that was a huge influence on Noel Gallagher in particular. You can even hear lines used on some of these tracks that call back to Beatles songs and things that he borrowed from things that John Lennon himself actually said. Some of the cuts are a little bit more introspective and offer extra commentary on society. Cast No Shadow is one of those that I thought did an excellent job, and it's one that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, but it's a darker tune, and I like that about it. Hey Now is another track that actually gets a little bit darker on us, especially in the chorus. Not dark necessarily, but it's kind of laid back. It has more peppy and upbeat verses, but then once you get to the chorus, it just kind of shifts down a key, and I like that it takes the intensity down a notch for a change. You usually see bands building up to these massive choruses, something that Oasis are definitely known for. They like that writing style, especially on this record, but overall on that track I would say that they went for the opposite vibe, and I like that they can mix it up on the same album and still have everything feel and come together like a one cohesive unit. Two other songs that I feel are very important to this record, some might say And She's Electric. Some might say has the classic opening guitar that everyone pretty much recognizes that riff. It definitely was one of my first Oasis experiences, but She's Electric in particular is one that I don't know that a ton of people actually have heard. She's Electric is one that's built around kind of a love theme. It's about a relationship, being infatuated with someone, and it comes across as very genuine, and especially since Noel wrote it, Liam is singing it, but it's just one that it's a very happy song, and I don't see Oasis coming through with that spirit on too many tracks. Another deep cut worth noting is the opening track, Hello, which is actually one of my favorite Oasis songs. I like that it starts off with just a little bit from Wonderwall that comes a couple of tracks later and then breaks into its own. It's got a really nice lyrical message on it. Nobody ever seems to remember that life is but a game we play, and it's something that makes you think, and I like that some of the tracks on this record actually do offer up something more than just your standard Britpop or your standard alternative rock album was offering up at the time. Now all throughout you're going to find themes of love, life, just struggles, and of course drug addictions as well. The track Morning Glory is another one that I have to point out just because it's a track that's much bigger than you might even think whenever you hear it for the first time. Morning Glory, of course, referencing, well, how do I explain this for all the kids watching? You ever see a Viagra commercial? It sounds a little bit silly, but you've got themes of drugs, boredom with daily routines, and just trying to find something to mix it up. Sex, drugs, the rock and roll lifestyle, it's a lot to keep up with, and I love that song. Champagne Supernova actually touches on their themes of newfound fame, I think indirectly as well. It's not just a commentary on that, but there's a lot of stuff going on in that track that I absolutely love. In fact, Champagne Supernova, one of the best songs of all time. Not only one of my favorites, but I think just from an outside perspective in terms of musicianship, composition, lyrical content, skill, everything about this track, it just has it all. Champagne Supernova, if you've never heard it, you're missing out on an epic 7-minute journey that just takes you through an odyssey. It's just the mind of the Gallaghers, mainly Noel, I think, and it's something that he wrote whenever he was, I guess, in a more psychedelic phase, and he said it means different things to him on different days. Sometimes it means that he feels like life is weighing down on him whenever he's talking about being stuck in a landslide on top of him, and then other days it might mean something more positive to him. He's reflecting, he's talking, the guitars on this track sound phenomenal, there's a nice solo in there, and the vocals are just so fervent, and even though they're a bit distant in places like they are at some points in this record and they're overshadowed a little bit by the instrumental, it's meant to be that way. It wasn't a mistake, and I love this song. Everything comes together and works for the greater good. This album is definitely an essential listen for anyone interested in rock, alternative, Britpop music. You're looking for exposure and you're looking to get into it more. This is a great place to start, I think, just because there's so much going on here and so much to appreciate. Like I said, some of my favorite songs, of course, Champagne Supernova, the awesome Roll With It, the opening track Hello, and even Cast a Shadow. There's a lot of great stuff on here. I could probably list most of the songs as my favorite, honestly. There's a couple that I'm not as keen on, which I will talk about in the description box down below, but for me personally, I love the album. There's only a few things that I'm just not quite on board with. Overall, I'm feeling a 4.5 out of 5 and an obvious classic to What's the Story? Morning Glory by Oasis. I hope you guys enjoyed this throwback review. Don't forget to smash the like button on it to let me know that you enjoyed it. And of course, if you've never heard this album before, you can stream it at the link in the description down below. You can click down below me to see my second channel or the last review that I did, and you can leave suggestions for other throwback reviews or maybe even redemption reviews or current album reviews you'd like to see me do, because in October, I'm doing all kinds of stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon right here on ARTV.